Sonic the Hedgehog. If you were anything like me growing up, being a Sonic fan was like a drug with no downsides or legal issues. Every game and every scene would have you smiling ear to ear because of the charismatic characters, the colossal boss fights, the cheesy one-liners.
Come on, you big drip! Where you going?
And the music. On top of being full of objectively soul-levitating soundtracks and lyrics, revisiting some of these songs made me realize a core reason why Sonic is so memorable to me, and that's its use of storytelling through the music. So that got me thinking, does every Sonic game use musical storytelling? Is there a technique to it? Where did they get the inspiration from? How did they perfect it? What kind of impact did it leave on artists? And why do I love this choice of music in Sonic more than any other game? These are questions I hope to answer to spark a love for Sonic soundtracks in people that were never fans and grow a deeper connection to the franchise for the OG fans. My name is Miorski, and this is Sonic in Musical Storytelling. What does it look like when you try and outperform a multi-million-dollar company with your own rival product? Well, in this case, it takes the form of a chubby blue hedgehog. See, the team at Sega were burning with passion, trying to beat Nintendo in every facet possible. They're trying to make a rival gaming mascot in the industry. So when it came to finding a music composer, they wanted something completely different to the norm.
Dreams come true this.
This newly found band is called Dreams Come True, and Sega asked the lead bassist Masato Nakamura to be the main composer of a 2D platformer they were developing called Sonic Forces Sonic the Hedgehog. But the thing is, they kind of set this man up for failure. This being his first job at composing a music for a game ever, being a J-pop artist that was used to multiple instruments with multiple notes. You can imagine when they told him that he'd have to make a whole entire soundtrack with just 4 notes, he was definitely dying on the inside. Plus, all they gave him was images of early development screenshots to make an entire soundtrack out of. So it seemed from the gates this was way too ambitious to ever be successful. So why on this earth did he cook so much? See, the interesting thing about Nakamura was the way he'd approach every song he made for the franchise. And this mentality would be a common practice going forward, solidifying Sonic music to become so iconic.
I didn't treat Sonic as a game, but the film. The graphic is great and it has a very strong story. So I thought, oh, this is a movie.
Each song had this kick and flair to it that just screamed freedom, adventure, and good energy. Maybe even some bad energy. I don't know how to transition to this next fact. Yes, Michael Jackson worked on the Sonic the Hedgehog soundtrack. This is how far they are willing to go to capture the different vibes of Sonic stages. Are you in a hot desert or a cyber metropolis world? Are you facing off against Eggman in a battle to the death? Or are you on another rendition of Green Hill Zone? From rock, bassline, drums and reggae, New Jack Swing, it screamed the 90s. But more importantly, it told a story through its musical choice. Or better yet, its musical transformation. Between Sonic 2 and 3, we got Sonic CD, a game that capitalized off the Sega CD that allowed any song to be directly translated into its games with no hardware limitations. The story is about Sonic battling his nemesis Dr. Robotnik, and Robotnik is trying to turn this natural ecosystem called Little Planet into an industrial factory devoid of natural life. The music reflects every choice you make as you time travel to see what Little Planet has become. Go to the good past, and the music reflects a peaceful area before Eggman attacked. If you destroy the Eggman generators, you get a good future theme, celebrating your win for nature against the forces of industrialization. But if you fail, you're in the bad future, which has the vibe of an artificial world full of metal and mechanisms. Or you can find a middle ground, where nature and machinery can coexist. And the music reflects that instance too.
Guy, does anyone realize how cool this is?
They went so off the rails with this game that they just started mumbling in some of these songs. And in the Bad Future Stardust Speedway, you get one of my favorite sound effects in the whole Sonic franchise. This was the first time we got to see Sonic lyrics in the franchise. The reason why I say Sonic lyrics is because Sonic lyrics have this cheesy, incoherent fondness to them.
I wanted melodies that the player would hum along with as they were playing. Dramatic music for when the scenes were intense, climactic music for when the bosses would show up, and then tie it all together with an uplifting theme for the end credits. That was what I knew I wanted it all to be like. Nowadays, RPGs use this sort of musical technique a lot, but at the time, action games like Sonic didn't. And so from watching movies, I composed melodies that kept the game tempo in mind without sounding unnatural. I also wanted to make sure that the music didn't lose its groove. After all, one of Sonic's key elements lies in speed.
All this to say, this era of Sonic was dominated by melodies and sounds that gave him his original spunk and adventurous charm, which is especially important in Sonic's case, because at this point, Sonic doesn't talk. I mean, not yet at least. With the introduction of Sonic being in 3D, Sonic and his personality got a complete upgrade. From being an anti-establishment savior for nature, to being a full-blown enemy to the government and a worldwide terrorist. And what genre encapsulates this feeling of sticking it to the man more than rock? More specifically, butt rock. This is where Sega asked this dude who'd worked on a few of the 2D Sonic games to spearhead Sonic's new vibe. This man was called Jun Senoue, and as most of my fellow Sonic fans know, the band was called Sons of Angels. But Jun really liked drinking Crush Pop, and his partner thought their name was kind of cringe seeing as they were pushing 40. So they just changed their name to Crush 40. Although there was definitely some other notable vocalists in this era, I think it's safe to say Jun and Crush 40's sound is synonymous with this era of Sonic, with them usually performing the opening and ending themes to multiple games. I brought up Jun's backstory to show how outside of the lines this guy was. I mean, this guy was so specific in the sounds he wanted to make, he once drove a screwdriver into his guitar just to get a certain sound. Something new they introduced with the release of the Sonic Adventure series was the idea that every character in the game would have their own theme song. Melody or genre that was synonymous with what kind of person that character was. Sonic was obviously hard rock, again personifying a rebellious, liberating attitude of doing whatever he wants, when he wants. And Knuckles
rougher than the rest of them, the best of them, tougher than leather. You can call me Knuckles. Unlike Sonic, I don't chuckle.
Unlike Sonic, I don't chuckle? What the f?
It doesn't matter shows Sonic's carefree personality, sense of heroic justice, and free spirit. Believe in Myself is pretty self-explanatory, showing Tails is ready to unbound himself as just a side character, but his own separate person from Sonic. We didn't even speak about the main theme, Open Your Heart. I mean, it's written to show Sonic's perspective on the main villain. Throughout the game, Sonic is the only one who recognizes the only reason Chaos is acting the way he is because of the anger and the evil manifesting due to the actions of others in the past. So instead of sealing him away and prolonging the issue, Sonic has a better approach. All this to say, the story of Sonic Adventure was already decent, but with the added music, we got a new depth to the characters. And the songs used are so iconic, there are certain scenes that just stick with us, even after 20 years.
Sayonara, Shadow the Hedgehog.
Sonic's theme throughout the game usually circles around the yearning of freedom, the power to live the way you want, and to cherish the people you love that are by your side. In other words, the power of friendship. Oh god. This by far is my favorite game because I actually play this game. So here, rather than individual themes, the characters are all in teams of 3 and have their own theme songs that encapsulates their relationship between each other and what they stand for. For example, Team Dark's theme is this grungy, dark, synth heavy metal that honestly could have been the opening of the Suicide Squad or some anti-hero establishment blockbuster. They're not friends like Team Sonic. They're edgy. Omega wants revenge on Eggman, Shadow wants answers from Eggman, and Rouge wants to steal from Eggman. 3 outcasts banding together, finding solidarity in the fact that they share the same similar traits that the world hates them for. Team Chaotix's theme is also an interesting find because it feels like they would play this song during their commercial, like they're promoting themselves as hired hitmen / detectives on the TV. All the theme songs in this game have examples of them mentioning teamwork and combining each other's strengths, which is basically the whole theme of the game, that the power of teamwork and friendship conquers all. And I think that's pretty cool they're able to tell that narrative through the songs.
It's no use, but why can't I defeat you?
Because we're Sonic heroes. Oh my god.
Unfortunately, these themes are not really heard throughout the game, but it's still cool to look back on and admit that even the least used songs were so intentional in their music genre and lyrics. Despite how iconic this era was, a lot of the songs felt separate from each other. A way I've noticed movies and games connect certain ideas or scenes together is they play the same melody attached to the character or concept. Depending on the mood, they could either use different instruments to capture the right feeling, but the same combination of notes are used to remind you of a thing or a place. So as the story develops, the music can develop too. And to be honest, we didn't really see much of that in this era of Sonic. But things would change very rapidly after Sonic Heroes, and the introduction of leitmotifs were finally put to huge use.
I'm Johnny, this is Jun, and we are Crush 40. We're going to play a brand new song that we wrote for you called Night of the Wind that'll be featured on the brand new Sonic game, Sonic and the Black Knight.
So this game's called Sonic and the Black Knight, and it would be one of the last few games Jun would be the main sound director for. The leitmotif you just heard? You know, the da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na that plays every time the game wants you to focus on something Sonic is doing while on screen.
That was amazing. Defeating the Mist Dragon like it was nothing. The mark of a true knight.
Only death can remove this stain upon my honor.
Give me a break. What's up with all this drama?
Silence! Silence, I say!
Isn't there more to being a knight than just serving a king?
Huh?
In a world of honor, loyalty, and chivalry, Sonic doesn't follow any rules that would consider him a knight. He would gladly run away from a fight. He doesn't finish off his opponents and helps the weak, even when he has bigger and more important problems to deal with. He doesn't conform to the will of this world. He paves his own way and lives only in the now. And in the world of knights, that's kind of problematic. But Sonic doesn't care, and in doing so, he changes the people around him.
Why did you... I guess you could say that Whim is my other master. What? You jealous or something?
For a knave such as you? Ridiculous.
Enough of that knave stuff already.
Actually.
Yes? Sonic the Hedgehog, you have mastered the code of chivalry.
From this day forth, you shall be Sir Sonic, Knight of the Wind.
And this is in direct opposition to the Foley to Sonic in this game, Merlina. See, Merlina's whole deal is that she's a slave to the fear of loss.
Why do flowers bloom, knowing they are destined to wither?
Huh?
Their time of beauty is so short-lived.
She's willing to do the unspeakable because she's afraid of losing what she has. Not necessarily a bad-minded person, but her obsession over keeping things the same forever twists and morphs her appearance along with her leitmotif.
Just one question before we settle this. Why'd you do it? Weren't we trying to save this kingdom from the underworld?
This kingdom will fail one way or another. Such is its fate.
Huh? Do you know what is to become of this kingdom?
And again, this is when Merlina's leitmotif turns from a desperate sadness to a cold, hard determination. It's a pretty cool plot twist that the Black Knight was just a puppet for Merlina to get the final piece to her plan. Usually when Sonic Magic Girl transforms and defeats the antagonist, there's some happy-go-lucky music to end it off. But once again, Jun Senoue recognizes ending it this way with a story like this just wouldn't really fit.
Merlina, every world has its end. I know that's kind of sad, but that's why we gotta live life to the fullest in the time we have. At least, that's what I figure.
Although not the most detailed advice, the song that plays in this scene is Sonic's direct response to Merlina's existential dread.
Both Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2. I mean, with those games, we changed the franchise's music style so drastically that a lot of fans were like, wow, you know? I mean, I know some love it and some hate it, but that's okay because it's music, and it's pretty hard to compose music that everyone's into. So I just made something that I could be proud of.
Man, oh man, that was some peak. Surely we've seen the apex of using music to tell these fantastic stories, right? Man, I can't lie. There's no point in me stalling. You guys see how long we have left. Let's talk about Sonic 06. It's no surprise to say that Sonic 06 is one of the most popular Sonic games of all time. Being the celebration of the 15th anniversary for Sonic, and also the first Sonic game on a next-gen console, they introduced us to this game with a new energetic sound to match the gravity of how impactful this game would be. Sonic had a new orchestral energy to it, and we can attribute this change to the new sound director of Sonic, Tomiya Otani. When Otani was young, he first started dipping his toes in sound directing by being involved in theater, and rather than using pre-recorded sound effects and jingles, he would play them live on the spot with his sampler. This developed his skill in perfecting the timing of certain sounds being played, and he also got to witness live what people would roll their eyes over and be bored to, and what would have them on the edge of their seats, immersed into the narrative. He's gone on record that the whole goal of the soundtrack of 06 was to make music that made every interaction, every little bit of this game feel epic. Everything in this game just felt bigger than any singular person. We got multiple storylines with their own custom cutscenes, battles, dialogue going in different perspectives. So where does the music come into play? We've already touched on his world being Sonic's main theme, and we'll go deeper on this later, but we still got the other two hedgehogs to talk about. Shadow the Hedgehog arguably has one of the best character arcs throughout the previous games, and we see the climax of this in 06. In Sonic Adventure, he was this confused artificial being who hated humanity due to his fractured memories. So the game constantly references Shadow as not the evil Sonic, but the dark one. Not always doing things the morally good way, but even when his past clouds his judgment, he finds a way to do right by others. and he does what needs to be done.
All hail Shadow, heroes rise again.
It's pretty ballsy bringing back the theme song from that game we are never going to talk about, but the difference here is, compared to Shadow's psyche in that game, we now see a fully realized version of Shadow as the ultimate life form he was destined to be. No more confusion, no more manipulation. Right now we see a Shadow that follows Maria's true wishes, which isn't killing Sonic or getting revenge on the world. It's for him to protect humanity.
Nothing can stop you now. No ghost will bring you down. There's nothing left to lose. You win.
So when Sonic 06 challenges Shadow's new philosophy, after realizing that in the future, the society he tries so hard to protect ends up imprisoning him out of fear.
Come with me, Shadow. Let us punish this foolish world of humanity.
He doesn't regress into being a straight up villain. His response as the main music plays is all you need to know. The Shadow has risen above that.
It's futile. The world will betray you. Why fight at all? Why risk your life for those who will persecute you later?
If the world chooses to become my enemy, I will fight like I always have.
And there's something about that that's just heroic. Silver's theme fits his futuristic look and character, but his leitmotif gives a deeper depth to his personality. See, Silver is this kid from the future trying to change his destroyed world, only to realize this issue is bigger than himself. And the leitmotif here reflects his internal conflict.
Blaze? To kill someone to save the world. Is that really the right thing to do?
I know some people meme about this, but the similarities between these characters and Dragon Ball Z characters is insane. When I see scenes of Silver being vulnerable and dropping the tough guy act, I see glimpses of future Trunks in his eyes. Just two kids way over their heads, thrown into a world where the hope of a people are resting on their shoulders, and the pain and anguish when they don't have the power to fix the problem themselves.
I can't!
We didn't know what to do. Without you fought alongside me to save the world.
You're my friend, right?
You're still so naive.
I know I've said a lot of leitmotifs now, but one that ties the whole game together is Elise's leitmotif. As you play, you are told this girl from a young age has taken the vow to never shed a tear, or her kingdom would fall into ruin. We find out that this is because when she does cry, the evil spirit Iblis would be unsealed and cause Silver's timeline to happen.
That's a good girl, Elise. Remember, be brave. Don't cry, no matter what happens.
Nothing starts until you take action. If you have time to worry, then run.
And Sonic notices Elise's struggle with showing her emotions, and he tells her,
Smile.
not really a solution to her problem, but a way to endure her pain and look forward. Throughout the game, Sonic shows Elise the beauty of the outside world, giving her that spark to want to live for a purpose again. And this once somber and depressing melody becomes a hopeful one.
This is where everything began.
So even when they beat the bad guy and now they have to fix the timeline, meaning her and Sonic never met, you can tell the motif is saying, don't be sad because it's gone. Be happy that it happened.
Miss Elise? It felt like someone was calling me. I'm sure it's just the wind. Of course.
It's a great character arc of her fixing her father's mistakes and becoming more of a fuller person. Too bad it was ruined by this scene. It's so sad this game didn't get the proper time to cook in the oven because there were so many moving parts here that almost hit the jackpot. But due to the fact that 5 minutes of playing this game, you would literally fall into the ground forever and ever, making you restart the whole game, it kind of left a bad taste in people's mouth. Not me though. I watched the whole game on YouTube along with the soundtrack, so I had a great time. But even I could see the small nuggets of greatness seep through. Those flashes in the pan, that when they hit, they just hit. The leitmotif in his world has so many different versions to count from. From the opening theme, an inspirational theme, and even a really sad theme. It's hard to say how I feel when this song comes on, but I think the only way to explain it is this melody is like a stream of hopes and dreams flowing in one direction, one voice, one being, and they form this will to defeat the direct enemy of life itself. What a song! The orchestral version always hits different because there's so many extra instruments. It feels like the whole world is on your side, cheering you on and giving you energy to go against Solaris, man oh man. And they don't just stop there. Otani does the same musical storytelling in Unleashed, Colors, Lost World, Sonic 4. I could go on and on about leitmotifs for the rest of these games, but being conscious of the video length, I'll just link the video that heavily inspired this section and move on. Move on to what? Well, I believe there's a narrative being told through all the tales and adventures Sonic has been on, at least the ones that understand Sonic as a character. And I think exploring this will bring me to the conclusion as to why these songs are so iconic and amazing devices for storytelling.
I had an unfounded confidence that I would contribute various ideas and concepts to sound design. I also knew that there were good game music. But I remember appealing in the interview that I wanted to be more particular about the persuasiveness of each individual sound and tone.
At the end of the day, there's a reason why I always check out the new Sonic game. It's not about the next-gen graphics or the revolutionary gameplay. Definitely not about the revolutionary gameplay. It's the narrative these games tell and how I feel about that narrative being told through its music. Sonic always has core concepts like friendship and freedom woven into his character throughout his soundtracks that have stayed the same since his birth. At least, it used to. I'm not even going to blame Otani for this. The most recent soundtracks aren't even that bad by any means necessary, but without the ambitious stories being told like an Adventure era or the 06 era, they kind of fall flat. If I had to look at Sonic as a franchise right now and sum it up with 2 words, is that it's too safe? What happened to the vastly different worlds that were unique to cultures and landmarks? What happened to the music that would complement a story full of interesting character arcs and fun levels to play? Why do Sega keep playing it safe, shoving mediocre nostalgia down our throats on one side, and then making the most un-Sonic type environments and plots in others. I know people like Frontiers, I really do, but it feels like we're giving them props for the smallest steps forward after the terrible run that was Lost World, Boom, and Forces. I don't know, man, I missed when the story of Sonic made me care. And even when there wasn't a story, Sonic as a character was enough to keep me engaged in what he would do next. Colors is a great example. Despite being a lot less story focused, Colors reinstates Sonic's adventure-seeking yet corny attitude with songs like Reach for the Stars. Every title after this makes Sonic this snarky preteen that can't go 2 minutes without saying a really bad joke. Sonic's been always used to doing what he wanted, how he wanted. But in doing so, he always was a hero and an inspiration for others around him. Unleashed literally shows Sonic's incorruptible character, as even though he was filled with Dark Gaia's energy and becomes this, he's still the same guy that looks out for his friends.
Whoa, what? Where do you think you're off to all by yourself? What? But my memory is back now, and, well, from here on out, it's my responsibility, so, I mean, there's no reason for you to come along, so I should just... Do I need a reason to want to help out a friend? Thanks, Sonic.
What I'm getting at is, the soundtrack can be the most thematically relevant when the game has Sonic being Sonic. He doesn't have to have character development because he is the representation of goodness in its purest form. Time and time again, we see him sticking out his neck for others, and even when it would make 100% sense to cut out the losses on villains or friends alike, he helps others. As he says, on a whim. Because the same way Sonic inspires good and hope in the people around him in his stories, it also inspires talented artists to manifest their stories in the form of music. These composers have captured a phenomenal character that has touched the hearts of so many people outside of just enjoying the game. It's really cool just how much musical melodies can be the saving grace for a franchise that just doesn't know what it wants to look like in the modern age. Look, I could be doing too much, but I had to do a lot of research on this video and couldn't stop smiling, rewatching old cutscenes, listening to nostalgic soundtracks that inspire that sense of exploration and positive energy Sonic so easily displays. So although I have issues with the current games, I always pop my head in the community every now and then, hoping that fire for Sonic won't be stopped by deadlines or playing it safe or some other third thing, just a yearning for Sonic to be Sonic again, so the music can hit again. I don't know where they plan on taking this character after such a dodgy run of years, but I really do hope that the team behind these future soundtracks realize that Sonic shouldn't be tied down to a genre of music, setting, or video game style. He's someone that always seeks something new. He's at his best with a brand new world to explore, and a brand new soundtrack to tell his stories for years to come. Because at the end of the day, this is a game about a blue hedgehog that can run really fast. Now is not the time to start imagining realistic and normal things. You might as well let your creativity run wild.
What are you, anyway?
What you see is what you get. Just a guy that loves adventure. I'm Sonic the Hedgehog!